All right, guys. Today's training is going to be a little bit more about the technical side of Follow Up Boss and how we're going to be using this new revamp that we're doing to increase our productivity, to take our business to the next level, to make sure leads don't slip through the crack, and ultimately, at the end of the day, make more money, which is why we're here, right? Who wants to make money? Who wants to make more money? Who wants to help more clients? Right? There we go. Right? All right. So y'all got the right people in the room. All right. So just to give you a quick background, guys, I know you guys have heard Rob reference this, but Elena Key is the name of this person that owns Key Technology Systems. And what they do is they specialize strictly in Follow Up Boss. They're a third party that goes into Follow Up Boss and revamps your whole system, basically. So Follow Up Boss, the great thing about it is it has so many customizations that you can do. But the bad thing about it is that it has so many customizations that you can do where to try to do it on your own, it's a little bit difficult, right? So the first step of our process of moving from FirePoint to Follow Up Boss was just to get everybody on board, right? Get everybody's profile set up, get you guys familiar with using the system, right? It's been, what, maybe a month or two now, right? 2 months now, where we're now starting to use the system. We're now getting familiar. We know where to log in. We got the app. We're making calls. And so that was like the initial step. Then we added Ylopo, which is now going in and helping us nurture some of these leads, right? Which is great. And we're creating hand raisers, right? We've generated probably a couple hundred in the last 2 months, a couple hundred hand raisers from the Pond and from Follow Up Boss and from the Ylopo system, just basically re-engaging leads, right? In fact, Aria, who's right here, him and Thomas just signed a listing last week, right? Last week? From a re-engaged hand raiser from our Pond, right? So the system produced potentially a buy and a sell, right? Is it a buy and a sell? Or sell the buy, sell the buy, sorry. So about, I think he said close to $2 million worth of volume between the two, right? 2 million times 2.5%. What's that number? 2 times 2.5 is 5. $50,000 roughly in gross commission that was generated from that transaction of a sell to buy from an old Pond lead where Ylopo and Follow Up Boss is doing its thing. It created the hand raiser. Aria claimed it, booked the appointment. They went on the appointment. They signed the listing. I want you guys just to take us just real quick, right? Because I think a lot of times we take for granted what we have in front of us and the power that it has. But literally, we have over 30,000 contacts in Follow Up Boss right now. That is like millions of dollars, millions and millions and multi-millions of dollars worth of commission that is in our Follow Up Boss right now, right? That is going to hit at different times, right? Some people are ready now, some people are ready later, some people are going to be repeat clients, some people are going to refer you somebody else, right? And so I want us to really just understand the power and really the machine that we have in front of us, right? But
just touch on the FTC. I know we've done it before, but
yeah,
sometimes we can get this. Just touch on how he was able to get that lead.
Yeah, so FTC is basically the first to claim. And so I'm going to share my screen and then we'll get into more of the nitty gritty right now. But just so you guys see, you guys can see my screen, right? There you go. You see it? Okay, so we have an automation set up. And some of this may be foreign language to you guys, but it's important you know how this is happening because when you're claiming leads and stuff, you know what's happening. So right now we have a general Pond leads. So we have like 26,000 contacts that are in the Pond, right? We probably have another 4,000 or 5,000 contacts that are assigned to agents on our team.
Hey,
right?
sorry, Enrique, to interrupt. Can you please share? You're not sharing.
Is it not sharing?
No.
Thank you. Present. Oh, there we go. Thought it was already. All right. How about now? You guys are good? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. If that ever happens, guys, just unmute yourself and let me know because sometimes this thing gets a little funky. But 26,000 leads in our Pond that are now being nurtured through properties being sent to them through iLopo, text messages, emails, automations, and stuff like that. So if you look right here, this is an automation that we set up, general upon leads. And basically this is a workflow. So anytime someone inquires on a property or saves a property or views a property and it's in the pond and it's not a fellow hand raiser because we're doing a separate thing for those, it's the general lead pond. So I want you guys to see how these leads get to you guys. Automatically, when that happens, it's going to assign that lead on an FTC, which is first to claim. So it's going to route it to everybody. There's 30 minutes to claim it. So all you guys will get a ping on your notifications, right? So if you don't have your notifications on, you're not getting the pings, right? So that's step one. And then what happens is you have to claim it, right? So whoever claims it first, now that lead gets reassigned to you from the pond automatically, right? And then if no one claims it within 30 minutes, then we have a default where it's round robin. Well, it'll go to whoever's next in line automatically. I'm trying to avoid round robin because round robin basically means no one claimed it and no one's really taking ownership of it. So when I see that happening, I'm just rethrowing it back to first to claim until someone claims it. Because if you pick up your phone and you claim it, then that means you're going to look at it, right? And you're going to work on it. Okay, now we also have something called a buyer lead check. So let's say Aria claimed the lead and he got it today. If he doesn't call that lead from Follow Up Boss and log a call or a communication within 2 days, it automatically reassigns it again to the first to claim. So this is an automation that we've built in where I don't now have to go back and say, hey, Aria, did you follow up with this lead? You basically have 48 hours from when the lead comes. So if the lead comes at 12 o'clock at night, it's 48 hours from there, right? If you do not call from the system and log a call or a direct text message or a direct email, some sort of communication, takes that lead from you, throws it back out.
Not the automated stuff.
Yeah, not automated, right? This doesn't mean like any automated text or automated emails. It means you went in there and manually called from the system or logged a call or text them or emailed them on your own, right? Because what we're trying to ensure is like if someone raises their hand saying, hey, I'm interested in this property, and then you claim that lead and then you don't call it for 3 days, what happened to that opportunity? It's missed, huh? By that time, they may have already jumped on a different website. They may have jumped on Zillow, or they may be talking to another agent, right? And so I want you guys to know how these leads are happening. And so we have these set up for any buyer leads, and we have these set up for any seller leads. So what I just described right there is called an automation, right? And that's the cool thing about Follow Boss is you can set up unlimited automations. So this particular automation, so you guys can see, it tells me how many times it's ran. Look at this. Since we set this up, it's ran 300 times already. Meaning it's gotten 300 inquiries or hand raisers in the pond, and it routed to an agent. So that's 300 opportunities we've created from this pile of 26,000 leads just in 2 months. Yeah. Not even 2 months, maybe less than that.
Because we barely implemented that.
Yeah, this barely started. I wonder if I can see when it started.
If I look at the first one.
Oh no, last edited. Yeah, so I don't know when it started, but it only started probably about a month ago. And that's the power, right, of this database that we've built over the years is we have hand raisers who are ready to buy and sell. And then on a monthly basis, we're adding to the pile, right? Adding more leads through Zillow, through all these other systems we got. Another announcement, guys, that we're making right now is we just got invited to Zillow's seller lead program. Zillow seller lead program. We met with Zillow yesterday. We're one of the few teams here in the Bay Area that they're inviting. There's only 2 teams currently, I think, in the Bay Area or in our area. They're trying to add like another 4 or 5. And so they're looking at flex teams who can handle seller leads, right? And so that's another big announcement, guys, that we're going to be rolling out soon, right? We still got to go through a process of getting it set up. But as soon as December 3rd, I believe, is when we can start receiving seller leads from Zillow, right? Of course, those leads, we're going to be vetting who can qualify for those leads, right? You need to know what you're doing. We're going to be doing training. We're going to see who's qualified to handle those leads, basically, right? But just know, guys, that we're adding more opportunities to the system. That's the main thing, right?
And guys, We can let them know. I mean, that's why we're using this. You got to be able to buy into using this system, because if now we start bringing in other leads, seller leads, we got to make sure you're following the protocol, right? Because again, that's the same thing Zillow's doing with us.
Yeah.
They're making sure that we're doing our set, met, sign, and we're going to that protocol. So it's important that we take this follow-up boss, this system, and we're using it and learning it so that when we apply other opportunities in there, it flows correctly.
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. So to reiterate what Jason said, if some of you guys didn't hear that are watching online, is it's important you buy into this process that we're building this machine. We're taking the guesswork out of it for you guys, right? This is what I've been spending my time on, guys. When I'm like locked in that room, you guys see me on the computer and calls, like I'm working on this stuff because I'm trying to improve our system so that it creates a steady flow of opportunity for our agents on our team, right? And so just know that my job as the team leader and Jason's job is to make sure you guys are lined up with opportunity, right? We're doing our part and train you on how to be more efficient and convert them. At the same time, you got to follow the process. You got to work those. And then you got to also go out there and fish for your own business as well, right? Like you don't want to just only rely on PRG leads, but you want to use those, you know, to build your business also, right? To generate those referrals off of those and still go out and do your thing on social media, open houses, whatever else you're doing, your friends and family, you want to go out there and capitalize on those. But the great thing is that the system is being built. So no matter where you bring the lead from, let's say it's your SOI or you work in open house, you're going to drop them into the system and it's going to do the same process on these, right? So it's taking away a lot of the guesswork. It's helping. It's almost like you guys have an assistant, a sales assistant built in, right? Where it's finding the people who need to be talked to right now. Because once you get to a point where you got hundreds of leads in your pipeline, it's very hard for you to just rely on memory. Oh, who do I got to call? Even task lists, even like setting tasks, right? Like how many times do your tasks build up and like you didn't finish all your tasks for the day, right? And we've seen that where you go in and like you have 50 overdue tasks. Like then that means the system's you're not using it properly. Okay, so question?
One takeaway from PowerPoint was the tasks for me.
Mhm.
It was always on point, right? Like it'll remind you, hey, you got a lot of overdue crap.
Yep.
Does Follow Up Boss have that same system to where it notifies you, hey, you got stuff to take care of?
Yes, it does. And we're going to talk about how to use that and when you should use that and why you should or why you shouldn't, right? And that's going to be part of this new thing. So let's add in, but that's a good observation, right? Is what Dan said is that what helped him be successful is by using his tasks in FirePoint and making sure he was constantly on his tasks so that leads don't slip through the cracks. And if you guys know Dan books a lot of appointments, right? So it's obviously works. So we're going to talk about how that's going to be incorporated into Follow Up Boss. Okay. So now let's introduce what key technology system. So if you see this KTS, that's what it stands for. That means that's stuff that they built out. So they've built out, I'm going to make this bigger. They've built out all these automations. So you guys understand what an automation is now, right? I showed you how an automation helps create the hand raiser. So now what KTS did is they're introducing like hundreds of automations depending on the different lead source, depending on when the lead came in, all these different things. Like they put like NOS into our system, basically.
We had service level, they went.
Yeah, we had basics. Now they added steroids to it, right? And so that means you're going to get there a lot faster. So stuff like, we know steroids work, all right? NOS, steroids, whatever. Okay, you guys get the point. So if it's a fellow lead, right, there's a certain automation for that. If it's a fellow callback, if it's a fellow cash offer, if it's a CMA lead. See how now it differentiates different types of inquiries? Yeah, fellows being wrapped into this as well. There's a different process depending on not only the source of the lead, but what type of inquiry it made, right? And so it'll take them down a different path. It'll send different messages out, different emails, different automations and stuff like that. Yeah, filters it for you. So all you got to do, and you'll see, is just follow your smart list. That's all you're going to have to do, right? We'll get to that in a second. If it's a mortgage lead, if it's a seller lead, there's also, for the lenders, there's also a lender version of this that we're going to be implementing strictly for the lending side, where it sends marketing and messages and automations from a lender perspective, right? So that's That's going to be the next version that we're going to work on after this is implemented. There's all stuff just for Zillow. There's stuff for Ylopo specific. If they requested a home value, there's, if someone like was on your website before and then they come back and visit again, there's a whole process for that, right? If they're an active buyer based off the status, the stages, and the tags that are on there, it's going to do one thing. If it's a pending deal, right? Like, I want you guys to see how like specific and granular this thing's going to be, where like nothing will slip through the cracks, guys. You just got to follow the process. That's all you got to do, right? If there's an AI, you know, nurturing the lead, it's going to do something different, right? And so you see like all these ones that say KTS, if you enter your client's birthday or home anniversary, so let's say you close a deal in your lead, there's custom fields where you can put the anniversary of when it closed, and we can even have our VA do this, right? Let's say it closed on January 1st. Our VA can now plug in January 1st, 2024 is the anniversary date. So then a year from now, it'll send them a message automatically congratulating them on their 1-year anniversary, right? Stuff like that. Yeah, birthdays. If you know your client's birthday and you plug it in, boom, it'll send them a happy birthday on the day of their birthday. So just imagine like on a scaled level, right? Like you got like 200 past clients, right? Like someone like Blanca who has probably hundreds of past clients at this point. Imagine if all her stuff is in there dialed in and it's categorized and everything. And now it's helping her continue to build those relationships, right? It has plans for up to 10 years after you close a sale. So if you close a sale, now you put them in a closed client plan. It has like a 10-year plan where it's sending them different things for the next 10 years on your behalf. It's pretty nuts, guys, right?
I would touch on you that as much stuff as there is, because there is a lot of shit. You may want to reiterate that it's all automated.
Yeah.
So as long as they do their thing, this kicks in automatically.
Yeah, that's a good note that Rob brought up, right? I'm trying to just explain the value of it right now, but remember, you don't have to worry about any of that. I'm just telling you, this is all set up on your behalf now. You don't have to worry about creating this, setting it up. We've basically built this high level machine, right? So go ahead. Question.
So let's say they do sign up or whatever website they sign up on. Let's say you have to put like the birth date, right? Let's say you do put the birth date. Would that take that information, put it automatically in there, or no?
There's a spot for you to enter their birthday, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is if the tab, whatever you put in there, that tab is already associated to do an action item.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So before the way we had to build those out.
Yeah.
But what Kika did is Kika already built all that stuff out. Our job is to get the information, follow the process that Kika's going to tell you, and everything gets stuck automatically. Everything starts to flow.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so now let me introduce the cheat sheet, guys. I sent all you guys a copy of the cheat sheet. So you guys should all gotten an email earlier, and it's also posted in Slack as well for you just to get a quick link to that, right? This is the cheat sheet that you're going to use. And I want you guys to have this handy and be able to refer to it. If you want to print it out, print it out. But this is going to be your best friend because this is going to take all these complicated automations and it's just going to put it into a cheat sheet so you know what means what, right? The first sheet is probably just the most important than the first two. And then it's going to go into like what triggers what. If you want to like, if you're someone who wants to know like all the details, some of you guys might not even care. Some of you guys just might want to, okay, what do I got to do? That's it, right? Yeah. But this is the cheat sheet. So this is your expectations every single day. So what they did is they revamped our smart lists based off of the type of lead, the type of tag that it has, where it came from. And so now we have new smart lists that are going to be implemented where all you have to do is just go down the line with your smart list. That's all you have to do. They actually don't recommend that you set tasks, right? Tasks should only be recommended if there's like a specific thing you have to do for that client. Like if you talk to a client and they're like, hey, call me back tomorrow at 2, then you can set a task for that. But if it's just like someone you just want to follow up with because they're in your follow-ups, you don't need to do the task. All you got to do is log the call and update the stage. So the stage and you logging the communication, those are your two go-tos now, right? And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And so top expectations is you need to ensure that everyone in your number one, let me do this. Before I show you this, let me show you what the smart list look like so that it'll make sense.
And is this already changed already, Kiki, for all the agents?
It's already in there. I'm meeting with them tomorrow morning to basically activate everything, right? But I want you to know, because by tomorrow it'll be activated. So now you guys know what you're looking at when you're in the system. Okay, so let's see here. So currently there's like the standard smart list, right? We all know does everyone know what smart lists are? Just first of all, does anybody not know what a smart list is?
Go ahead, Kiki, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So if you do or if you don't, I'm going to just reiterate what a smart list is. A smart list is basically they take your whole pile of leads, however many you have. So if you have 200 leads assigned to you, and then they filter them, and now they put those in calling lists, and they filter them by, when did the lead come in? When was it last called? Is it a new lead? Is it the lead been in your system for more than 2 weeks? Is it a past client, right? So basically it takes your whole pile and then it puts it into stacks, right? That's the kind of the easy way to explain it. And then based off what stack it's in, you're going to follow up and just go down the line. And as you move people through the pipeline based off your phone calls that you log in the system and the stage, when you move them from like niche lead to attempted contact to nurture to, appointment set, as you move the stages, it moves them to different piles, right? Because if someone's just a lead and they haven't been an appointment set, it would be a different follow-up than once the appointment's set, right? And so it's a dynamic list. Dynamic means it changes based off how you move it down the stage. So that's why the stage is extremely important. If your stage is out of whack, it's not going to do its job. So your job as the agent is the stage. After you talk to a lead, is that the right stage? Because if I move it to the next stage, now it's going to do a different automation. If I talk to a lead and it goes from lead and then I talk to them and now it's a nurture because they're a little further out. When I move it to nurture, that plan is going to kick in and it's going to do the follow-up or the texting and the automations based off it being a nurture. If it's an appointment set, it's not going to do a bunch of follow-up for you because it's an appointment that you're working, right? Like it's not going to start texting it when you're already in appointment phase, right? If it's someone that hasn't been contacted, it's going to do certain things, right? So that's where the stage is really important. You guys follow me? Okay. So what you see currently in your follow-up boss with these smart lists, right? If I click more, all of these ones right here, can you guys see where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way through 12? I'll make it a little bit bigger. These are all going to replace all of those. These ones right here, 1 through 12, are the new filters and the new smart lists that KTS has created for us. So there's going to be one list for all your clients that are active and pending. So if the client, and I'll show you right now by just clicking on it so you guys can see.
So you need to move those, right?
Yeah, I'm not moving them yet because tomorrow, once they're still finalizing it. So once I meet with them for my implementation call, then they're going to go in there and delete the other ones and then move these to the front. But I'm giving you guys the preview so you guys know what to expect, right? So going forward, you guys are going to see these 1 through 12, and they're listed in order of priority, basically. So number 1, all your active and pending clients, those are the ones you got to be talking to every day, right? And then I'm going to click on it, right? So let's use, I'm going to use Blanca as an example, okay? You're going to be my. So I'm looking at only Blanca's leads right now. Blanca has 276 leads, right? So that's a big pile to manage. But with these smart lists, now it's going to be a lot easier to manage where she knows who to call and when to call them. So now if I go here and I say, okay, who are my active and pending clients? And I click active and pending, I will see Blanca only has 3 people that would fall under that category. Active and pending is going to be anybody whose stage says under contract, submitting offers, active listing, listing agreement, or showing homes. Basically her active clients. So in order for it to appear in this list, that means you updated the stage and you told follow-up boss, I'm actively working with this client. They're under contract or I'm actively showing them homes. And those are going to be your highest priority, right? Anybody you signed, those are the ones you got to be talking to every day because you're scheduling tours, right? You're getting the listing going, whatever that might be. So that's stage number one. I'm going to just kind of run through some of these, but I want to give you an idea of now how it. So if Blanca's leads are not categorized correctly under the stage, it's not going to appear in the right thing. So
and I think that's the key Enrique, that I want you to bring home is that what the role is as the agent.
Yeah.
Right. And you're mentioning it. It's like you got to make sure you're staged, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what there's a lot of stuff you're bringing up, but the role as an agent is to check this and make sure you have the correct stage.
Yeah, and all you have to do, guys, is move the stages. That's it. Move the stages and call accordingly, right? And that's the easy part. It takes the guesswork, right? Where before, like Dan was setting tasks, like if it's a nurture follow up in 3 months, you're not going to have to do that no more. As long as you move it to a nurture stage, it's going to appear in your nurture list, right? And so when you're calling down your smart lists, your nurtures, you're probably going to call those, once a month, right? Your actives, you're calling those every day. Your brand new leads, you're calling those every day too, because you're trying to book an appointment with them, right?
And as long as you're doing activities to follow up.
Yeah, as long as you're doing the activities through follow up boss, and then after you speak to them, you log your notes and then you update the stage, right? That's all you got to do. And
the activity so now what you had to do before is you had to change the stage and add a tag, right? But these automations, everything's automated now. Depending on what the client does, the automations now add the tags for you. So you don't even have to do that anymore.
yeah,
Right. So if they return and looked at, let's say at a Y Local site, there's an actual tag that says viewing homes of Y Local, whatever the case may be, right? Whatever you decided to do.
yeah. So let's look at, what Rob said is it takes the guesswork, right? So let's look at what the names of the lists are, because I think that'll make more sense for you guys. So now your leads are all going to be categorized as these 12 lists: active and pending clients, new leads. So any lead that just came in that was assigned to you, but no call or communication attempt was logged in the system. So now management, and Jason as a sales manager, he'll be able to pull up the list and he'll be able to see which new ones you have and if a call was logged. And that's where like some coaching will come in. Hey, you got this lead a week ago and I still see no call logged, right? And so something needs to happen. Now, there's another one for new leads not reached yet. Maybe you logged a call, but you still haven't reached them based off the stage. So now it's going to remind you to keep following up with those. Now there's even one for AI replies. You know how we have the Raya system texting? If that client responded, they now appear in this bucket. If they responded to a text, they're now in this bucket. If they're a hand raiser, meaning they were a hand raiser from one of these lead systems we have where they showed some interest in a home value or something like that, it now shows up in hand raisers. If they got like an automated valuation through YLOPO or Fellow and they engaged with it, it's now going to show in that category, right? If they visited your website again, this could be an old lead, but since they're getting property sent to them, if they went on and started clicking and browsing through property again, you're going to be alerted, hey, this person's back on your website. So this could be a lead from a year ago, and now they're re-engaging, and now they're appearing in this list right here, right? And then you got hot weekly. So these are more like just people you want to continue to follow up with. Hot weekly. You got some leads that are more marked as cold, and you're just trying to see if there's something there. You have past clients that will now be in that category where you know to follow up with my past clients on a quarterly basis. You have old leads that came in like a long time ago, and there's just no call logged in there, right? And then you got old leads that came in a long time ago where maybe you've called them, but you've never reached them. And that's pretty much it, guys. These are the categories you're going to be calling from. A question?
Yeah, all the past clients, or you need to add our past. Okay.
Yeah. So right now, what we've done with past clients, guys, as we moved over from FirePoint to Follow Up Boss, is we didn't want to clog up everyone's system. So I took all the past clients out and I just put them in one pond. But now it's all like, you're not seeing them unless you request them, right? So eventually what we're going to do is we're going to reassign your past clients back to you. And then they're going to live in this smart list, right? This way you can periodically follow up with them, right? So we had to kind of go in phases. So not like make everything so messy, right? Okay, let me stop right there. questions on what smart lists are, why they're set up this way, right? How the smart lists are going to be used. Are there any questions from anybody watching at home? Any questions from anybody here?
So my question, Enrique, is gonna be, so as an agent, what do I do on a daily basis? I know you went over.
Yeah, that's the next thing. I just want to make sure everyone understands what's happening. Now I'm going to tell you what you got to do, right? Okay, so we're using Blanca, right? So I filtered so I can only see Blanca's leads. And then once this all appears right here at the top, right? Once this whole thing activates, the 1 through 12. Now Blanca's job every day is just to go down her 1 through 12 list, right? Most importantly, she's going to go down probably the first 5 or 6, right? If she has time or she's coming back for a second follow-up, right? Or maybe like she didn't have that many in these piles, then she has to start working on her older leads. So the system is always going to have you work on the most recent and the ones who are engaging and showing action and showing interest first. That's why they're put in this order. And then the ones who just aren't showing any interest, those are still there, but those are going to be further down the list, right? And so if all you did was just call your active and pending first. So I'm going to click active and pending. Now you see there's only 4 of them right now. So when Blanca starts her day, she knows, hey, I got to look at my active and pending. Okay, what's happening with these ones? Who do I got to call and follow up with? What am I doing to get them to the next stage of writing an offer or signing a contract or whatever that might be, right?
No, not to mess around with these.
Oh yeah, don't touch the things. Yeah. So the only way you can break this, guys, is if you start trying to add other filters and start like saving.
No, take out that box on the right side. Check box. That filter.
Yeah.
Take the exit filter out on the right side. It clears that whole.
Yeah. So remember, the smart lists are based off filters, right? So when I click on active and pending, it pulled up 4 leads for Blanca. And if you see right here on the right-hand side, this little filter section, don't touch these, right? Because then you're going to change the smart list. So don't touch any filters at all on the left. Now, for some reason you change it, we can go back and fix it, but then just don't do it, basically, right?
Again, I mean,
You can't break it.
No.
No, because smart lists are dynamic, right? Where you can update them and they can be, you know, like later on, let's say if we want to update a list because, hey, we want to add this other lead source, you know, we can go back in there and we can update the list and it's updated on everyone's, right?
You know how things work.
Yeah.
That's what they got paid money for.
But if you wanted to create your own list, that's where you can just go to all people, right? Now I see all my leads and now I can create my own filter. Hey, I only want to look at listings or whatever, or I only want to look at people tagged, and then you can save it as a list. And now you're creating your own list, but don't mess with the lists that are already created in here, right?
first 12, do not edit them.
Yeah, if it says 1 through 12, do not touch a filter on the right-hand side.
But you could still filter it by like.
Right here, by more. See where it says more?
That was my confusion.
So when you log in, you're going to see, and you click all people, you're going to see all your leads. And then these smart lists, if you go to the right and you click on more, these are basically just all saved filters, right?
So what's gonna happen, Dan, is that those 1 to 12 are gonna be at the top. Not yet.
You don't have them yet because I'm on the admin side. They're not activated yet. After tomorrow, the switch will turn on. And so what's going to happen is all of these other ones that were there are going to disappear. And then you're only going to see 1 through 12.
I got 1 through 8 right now.
Yeah, because right now you have the stock, right? The standard. So we went from stock and we got base model right now is what you guys have for FUB. And now we did modifications, right? Like when you modify your car, we put the NOS, the air intake, we put the wing on the back, right? That's all these right here, right? We upgraded. We upgraded. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm preparing you guys for what's going to happen. That's what's the training for today, right? And so, yeah, you don't see them yet because I'm on the admin side. I see everything on my end. These are not turned on for everybody yet. So after tomorrow, everything will be turned off, and the only ones that will be turned on is 1 through 12. Now, if you wanted to create an additional list, you can go and create your own filters and save it as, you know, Blanca's whatever special campaign list or whatever, right? Which honestly you don't really need to do. If you just follow these for right now, right? If you're like a guru like Rob, where he's like on level 1,000, like he's probably maybe wants to create other
Let me ask
lists.
you a question. Like, let's say I went through my smart list. I'm newer. I'm Adrian, and now I'm fishing in the pond. Then that's where I can create another list, right? If I'm like, hey, give me an example. Adrian's an A31, so he wants to filter a list. I'm just trying to give you guys an example. When if you're filtering the pond, and let's say Adrian wants.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that should be a second thought. Your first thought should be clearing the 1 to 12.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you're a new agent, you still don't have a lot of leads yet in your seat.
Yeah.
Then yeah, like right now, Adrian has, I think I looked at yours, you had like under 60 leads assigned to you, right? And so the first thing is to make sure all 60 of those are managed. You don't want to, if you have a lot of leads, you don't want to add new leads to a messy pile, right? So the first thing is now they're going to all be categorized right here. And then what Adrian's going to do is he's going to start going down his list. So he's going to start off with list number 1, and he's going to make sure whatever shows up there, that they're supposed to be there. So if he has John Smith and he's not really showing homes to John Smith, but is showing him as an active client, now Adrian's going to click on John Smith and he's going to go update the stage. Maybe John Smith's a nurture. So he's going to change it to nurture, and now John Smith will move to a different list, right? And so that's where as long as every single day you go down your list and you just keep updating the stage, and then it'll do it for you, right?
And it's important that you do that, because if you claim a lead from the pond, it might be labeled incorrectly. It might be staged incorrectly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, whoever had it last or
Whoever had it
whatever.
last. So it's important that once you claim it, you change the stage to match, the correct stage that it should be in.
Yeah, so here's what you're going to do, right? Your job, you come in here, you start off on 1 and you just go down the line. And all your job is to call. And yeah, and then you, after every call, you update. Now, here's what you can do. Remember, these are calling lists now. So let's say I go in, you should call from the system, right? Because you want it to record and you want it to automatically log the call. Also, by you calling from the system and it logging a call, it's going to move it out of a list now, because it's not going to be a lead that needs to be followed up, because by you calling, the system knows you followed up, right? Now, after so much time passes and there's no call, now it's going to appear back on that list again, because there's maybe no call in 10 days until you change the stage. So, right? So that's where the stages and the amount of calls come into effect, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's say I'm on my number 1, Blanca has 4. So what Blanca could do, she could select all 4. And now this is going to call, she can hit call. And basically this is her calling list. It'll call all 4 in that order. It'll call the first one, no answer, or spoke to them. She logs the notes, hangs up. It'll automatically call the next one, right? So you're creating, it's like a dialer.
We included the dialer for you guys.
Yeah, so you guys have the dialer system that we're paying for, where it does that for you, right?
Single dollar.
But it'll just go one by one.
Go to the next house.
So you don't have to keep going back and forth, right? Question.
It's not, well, not so much a question, but something that I noticed, once you change it to showing, it'll also send you like a little prompt to remind you that you need the touring agreement in place.
Correct. So if that's another automation we've set up, is if you change a lead to showing homes, then that means you have signed an agreement with them, right? Because there's no way you're showing homes without some sort of agreement signed, whether it's the Zillow touring, whether it's a buyer broker. So now it's going to prompt you to upload that agreement into the files.
So Kika, maybe a first step, I don't know, have you guys talked about, I think they told me to change everything from lead to attempted, right? If you made a call to change that, have they told you the forwarding process of how to go down?
Say that one more time.
So they're saying that every time you, that when you call somebody,
Mhm.
right? That the first step is to get it out off of the lead stage
Mhm.
and to put it into something right off the bat. So if you called, and let's say you called and they didn't get an answer, you change it from lead to attempted. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Now, each protocol is going to be different just because you're going to run your own system the old way.
Yeah,
You don't
I'm
want to leave it as a lead until they talk to them, or what's the protocol?
Yeah, so that's a little more advanced question. I still don't know the answer to that. I'm going to do my implementation call tomorrow morning, so I'll have more clarity. But Rob's question was, if I was to call this lead and let's say they didn't answer, what status should I change them to? I mean, my guess is you just leave it as the same status, right? Because if it's the same status, it should stay in that list, right? Or if you change, like let's say this was lead, and then you called it, and then you couldn't get them, but then you now change it to attempted contact, right?
So you at least know that someone called.
Yeah, and then the system will know, hey, attempted contact, and it'll move it to the list that says new lead, but still haven't reached them yet, right? So yeah, I believe you got to change it to attempted contact, Rob.
Yeah, you might want to clarify that, because you can go down the list.
Yeah.
You don't want all the stages to be on there.
Okay, so we don't get off track, guys, because we're kind of going out of order. I want you guys to see the flow of this.
Yeah.
So step one, you're going through the actives, and then there's a couple of questions in the chat that I'll get to in a second. Step two, right? I called all my actives, right? I make sure, okay, those actives are really active. They're in the right spot. If not, I updated the stage, and now that lead moves somewhere else. Now I'm going to my new leads, which is what Rob was referencing. So I got 2. So Blanca doesn't have any new leads that haven't been contacted. So good job, Blanca, right? So let's say Blanca had 3 new leads that she just got recently, but there was no call logged or no logged notes or no log text or anything like that. Then they would be here, because the lead, it's going to be based off when the lead was created or when it was assigned to you. That says it's a new lead, and whether you contacted it or not, it'll be in that list or not. Okay, so Blanca's up to date. She's called all her new leads, right? Now, some of the ones she's called, but they didn't answer, she's probably going to change it to attempted contact, and now it's going to appear in this next list where Blanca has 2 leads. So these are new leads, meaning last communication was more than 1 day. Calls made is less than 10 days. And it's created less than 14 days. So a new lead is something that came in within the last 14 days. Now, whether it's in the first list or the second list depends on when you made the last call. So if Blanca got this lead within the last 14 days, but hasn't been able to log in a call recently, it's going to appear in that next pile, right? And so now Blanca's just going down her list, right? So now she has to call these 2. She speaks to them. She updates the status, and then it'll either stay there or it'll go somewhere else, right? On number 3. Now she's going to go to her, that's number 3. AI replies. So Blanca only has 1 lead that has replied to the AI. And you can see right here what the reply was, right? So the reply was, hey, this is David. Hi, David. And then he says, hey, this isn't David's phone number. So this,
See, that's a good one. Look how AI handles her workload right there.
so this, yeah, so the AI already kicked in and started talking. Hey, David, this is PRG Real Estate Assistant. You're still looking for a property in the Lincoln area. I saw several listings that might work on my website. I can send them while I'm at my desk. Also, we can end these messages anytime. And then he didn't respond. So then it texted him again, let me know. And then finally the guy replied and said, hey, this isn't David's phone number.
But it's good. Good. AI did work. It doesn't work on.
And so you see this lead came in based off some sort of action that it took for getting a cash offer. Then Ylopo got applied. Then the Ylopo started texting it.
So the next step here, like just for knowledge purposes, after you have a wrong number, it would be to try and email them, correct?
No.
No.
So the next step would be to call this guy,
Oh, okay.
right? You have to log a call in to show that you talked to him. And then from there, you got to disposition, whether it was nurture, throw it to the pond, whatever you're going to do. So let's say I call David, right? And I'm like, hey, this is Blanca. It looks like maybe there's a wrong number. Was this David? Hey, it looks like you did this. Right. Is this your address? Hey, I just want to verify that this is the right information because this, I got your information basically. And then you find out that, hey, it's a completely bogus number. It's not right. So now I'm going to go to disposition, right? I'm going to say wrong number, and maybe I might trash this lead, or I'm going to find out what's going on with it basically. Right. And then I'm going to want to get rid of it.
If you go to the number, if you click on number, there's just 3 things you should do. Go to the number itself, click on the number, top left.
Oh, we're getting too far, guys, right now. Right now, we're just going through basic workflow right now, right? Because I don't want to confuse anybody. So you call, you verify, is it a good lead? Is it not? Is it a nurture? What stage is it in? Is it still in the right stage?
Right.
And so Blanca at that point would update the stage. Maybe he's not a nurture. Maybe this is the garbage lead because it's the wrong number and it's the wrong information. Or maybe that's the wife, right? And so as long as Blanca updates the stage and then the call was logged because she called from there, right? Now it satisfies that list, and now it's going to move it where it should be moved based off the stage that you gave it, right? Okay. Right. Now Blanca's going to her next one. Any hand raisers? There's none that are in hand raiser stage. She's moving down. Automated valuation engaged, none yet. Now back to website. So Blanca has 19 of them that are back on the website, right? So these are leads that she had that are in her stack. Lopo started throwing it emails. The lead went back on the website and started, clicking on stuff. So these are ones where Blanca's going to want to call. Hey, they viewed this property. Hey, they viewed this one. Were they just browsing or did they really want to buy? So now this is Blanca's time to kind of fish through these leads. And then what Blanca's going to do is the same process. Is she's going to now update the stage. So if Blanca talks to Rejma, who's back on the website, hey, Rejma, looks like you were back on our website. Looks like you looked at 123 Main Street. Do you want to take a look at that property? Right? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, great. What's your timeline? Right? Blanca qualifies the lead. Now, Rejma, is she an attempted contact or what stage is she? If Blanca set the appointment, then what stage was she? Appointment set, right? So now by Blanca updating appointment set and updating, logging a call, that lead is no longer going to appear in that stack. That lead is now going to go to probably like her active or pending clients or appointments, right? It now automatically moves it. So now when Blanca comes back the next day, she's just going through the same process every day, right?
Trying to move everything to the front.
Yeah. And your job is just cycle through your list and then update the stage. Cycle through your list, update the stage, right? Now, if Blanca went through everybody. Let's say it's Adrian, and Adrian has only 60. So he went through all 60 in the first couple hours. Now, what should Adrian be doing? Now, what was it? Right? So if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of leads, maybe you only have 20 because you're new and you're still building that pipeline. You already went through all 20, so you can't keep calling the same 20. Now I have permission to go and hunt for more leads. Now I go to the pond. Now I can filter the pond however I want. Now I'm fishing for new leads, or maybe I'm on Zillow Flex, so I have new leads coming in. And then I'm just repeating that process again, right? Does this seem a lot easier, guys, if you just follow it that way, right? And so Dan had asked a question earlier, do I need to get on my tasks? Well, in this case, you wouldn't need to do tasks. The only time you would do tasks is if they gave you a specific like callback time, right? That's the only time you need a task. Or if you're like, yeah, hey, prepare CMA or something like that, right? Like, yeah, like if you have a specific task, but you shouldn't have a follow-up as a task, right? You should move the stage and then you should just call your lists accordingly, right? And so that's a lot easier way, because what I notice is someone can have a task to follow up, but then the stage is incorrect. That's what people were doing before, is they weren't updating their leads. They weren't logging calls in. They were just putting a task, right? In this case, you have to only update the stage and only call from the system. And that's the way we know that you contacted that lead, right? And so they actually recommend you use tasks very, very sparingly. And so after you went through all your leads, then you're going to go through your tasks. You may only have 1 or 2 tasks. Call this guy back at a specific time, 1:30 or whatever. You call those and you pretty much went through your whole pipeline for the day, right?
Let's say you don't call, but you send an email or a text updated.
Yeah.
So say like you made an attempt to reach out.
Yeah. So if you called and there's no answer and you sent them a text from the system or an email from the system, that's a communication. So that gives you credit that you tried to make contact, right? If the lead replies to you, I believe that's also going to count as some sort of a contact that was completed, right? Like if you send them a text and they reply to your text, then the system knows like, okay, there's some conversation happening, right? So it's no longer in the need to contact stage.
No, what happened is the moment they respond to you like via text, it'll add a tag which will put them in a smart list.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so some of the questions I have, Amish, is it possible to create a smart list for recently claimed? So you wouldn't need to create a smart list for recently claimed. You would just need, because the system's already going to put them in the appropriate list based off when the lead was claimed, right? If that makes sense. So if Amish got a lead today, claimed it, the system's going to know that that lead was recently claimed if there was a contact or not, right? It's going to be a new lead for Amish. And so it should put them in new lead, no contact attempt until you actually make the contact. That's the way I understand it. And I can verify that tomorrow. Also, what is the scenario when we release a lead to a pawn? Great question. So I would release a lead to a pawn when I have tried to call them at least 10 times through calls, texts, emails, all those different things, and I haven't been able to make any progress with them or qualify them at all. To me, that's a dead lead, right? And I called them through follow-up boss, right? So I can pull up, I'm going to pull up this lead right here. This is Blanca's, right? And so if you look right here, this tells you text, calls, notes, all these different things that have happened, right? And I can look in here and I can say, okay, like I called here, I text them, I emailed them, even Mark's calling, right? This lead was probably at what Mark before. And so if you guys have tried to call this lead at least 10 times and you haven't gotten anywhere with the lead, then throw it to the pawn.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, update the status, right? Update the status. Maybe that's going to be like a nurture or something, right? But then
Well, that's the question. What do you want us to tag it at after like this example? A nurture?
probably a nurture, because either a nurture or you could put it back as lead and then just throw it back to the pawn, right? Because you really don't know at that point. So that's a good question. If you haven't spoken to them, you don't know it's a nurture, right? So I would just put it back as lead. Lead means it's just a contact and I don't know what's going on with it. Once I speak to them and they say, I am looking to buy, but in 6 months, now it's a nurture, right?
It'll work out better for you guys.
Attempted contact.
The reason if you attempt it, it still goes after a lead. It will still be a lead action plan, right? But it tells you that it's not, that someone has at least attempted it when you look at your overview.
That's brand new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get some clarity, guys, if you attempted contact, right? Because truly, if you call it a bunch of times, that means you attempted contact, right? So maybe just leaving it as attempted contact, that makes sense. Lead is only like,
Like if you
it's new and no one's done anything with it, right?
Right.
Attempted contact just means you've tried to call them, but they didn't answer,
Yeah,
right?
the action plan is still the same thing as lead.
Got it. Okay. So I would leave it as attempted contact, Amish.
Yeah, because you want to.
You've called it 10 times, you've texted it, you've emailed it from the system. I can clearly go in here into follow-up boss and I can see all the tries that you've done. Even the AI has tried to call it within a short period of time, right? Within a week. And so you got that lead today and every single day you were hounding that lead and you hit at least 10 tries and no response, no answer, then I would just leave it as attempted contact. And then I would change the owner and I would go to pond. I would go to general lead pawn right here. And then I would just check this box. Now that gets it out of your seat, throws it back in the pawn for someone else to try it later. All right. We're coming up on time, guys. Any other questions right now before we wrap up? Okay. So really quick, this is a quiz. What is a smart list?
A specific list with a purpose to keep your.
It shows you where all your leads are and their status is and all the updates.
It's your hottest lead that you need to call.
Your activities to track.
Okay. That's not the word I'm looking for. A smart list is a filter that's been applied to your leads and it's categorized in a certain list, right? That's all it is. It's a filter based off whatever you want to filter. We have the settings already, right? So if you have 200 leads, hey, give me every lead that came in the last 10 days. That's a smart list, right? Give me every lead that I've called, but no answer. That could be a smart list. It's basically you're filtering out your leads based off certain criteria, right?
Depending on stage level too.
Yeah, it could anything. You could say, give me any lead that's attempted contact, but hasn't responded. And the lead came in within the last 21 days. And I want to save that as a list, right? So you can go as granular as you want. Give me any lead that came in as a seller, a sell to buy, right? Like you can go a million filters, right? Infinite, right? It's basically a way to filter your data. That's all it is. And then and you can categorize it as a list. But remember, I just want you guys to understand what it is, but you guys don't have to mess with that. That's all being created for you. Okay. Here's my next thing. What's the most important part of following up with your leads? It's the most important thing you got to do to maintain your smart lists.
appropriately stage your client.
You call the follow-up boss and change the stage.
Yeah. Call through follow-up boss, right? Always call first, then text, then email, right? So contact them through follow-up boss and update the stage. Those are the two most important things, right? For this to all keep working. If you're calling and you're not changing the stage, it's not going to work, right? If you're changing stages, and you're calling them from your cell phone and you're not logging in the call, it's not going to work either, right? So this system is created to encourage everyone to stay in the system in follow-up boss, and that's the only way that we can track and scale, all right?
It will force you to be organized. It will
Yeah.
force you to be organized. in
Yep.
order for this to work.
Yeah, so there is a couple of times where you call, and I don't know if it like blocks the number or it does something, but it says, and it gives you a recording like the number is invalid,
Oh, yeah.
but it's not, it somehow, I don't know if the client blocks it or what it is, just at that time when you try it twice, call from your cell phone directly. 'Cause
Okay.
It goes through.
So-
What I've noticed is that if you don't close follow-up boss and you let follow-up boss, because I do that, I'll let it go and I'll just shut my laptop. If I don't reset follow-up boss, that's when I start to get the errors with the dial.
Yeah, you do have to reset it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the questions, guys, for you guys watching at home is that sometimes when you're trying to call through follow-up boss, for some reason the call's not going through, right? And so what you may want to do if that's happening is just close the system, just exit out, reopen it, and then retry again, right? Because remember, these things are managing a lot of data, so sometimes there's could be glitches. And so try that. If that's not working, then you can call from your cell phone as a last resort, but then you still need to go into the lead and you need to log a call, right? Don't put a note. A note does not satisfy the automation or the system. If you happen to talk to them on your cell phone, you log a note right here, right? It could be no answer, left voicemail, whatever, but that's going to tell the system that you actually physically made a call, right? And that's going to move it to the appropriate list. So to reiterate, guys, your stage and your activity, your communication through the system, call, text, email is the most important thing, right? And the system's going to do, like, it's going to send emails on your behalf. It's going to do different things. It's going to trigger different things. And so it'll just help you guys be more efficient. That's all I got for today, guys. We'll talk about this more over the next coming weeks as it starts to roll in. Be on the lookout. Hopefully by tomorrow.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone, like Enrique spent a lot of time, guys. I know he's in the background doing this. So the only ask that we spent time and money to build this out, the only ask I want to really reinforce it is just please use the system now, right? Because a lot of hours and time have been spent to make it easy for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have, any side questions or you have specific issues or glitches or whatever, those are questions you may want to bring, to us on the side and we can help you. Also, there's a lot of resources within Follow-Up Boss. So if you guys just click on your actual Follow-Up Boss, and make sure this is sharing. 1 second. Open picture in picture. It's the last thing, guys. If you're having an issue, on the bottom right-hand corner where this question mark is, when you click on that, there's a whole freaking library of training and articles and everything. So if you want to know, like, I don't know, automations, I don't know, whatever. Right? If you want to know how to use the dialer or whatever, I just want to show you, right? Like dialer, if you just type in a keyword, there's like all these articles, there's training videos, there's like unlimited stuff here, guys. Best practices, right? Let's say I want to go best practices. There's all these freaking training videos, guys. You got to understand, Follow-Up Boss is used by like probably hundreds of thousands of users at this point, right? And then contact support. So if you contact support, if you have a specific question, guys, they respond same day or next day. So if you're like, hey, I have an urgent issue, my Follow-Up Boss, blah, blah, blah. Can you get back to me? They also like when you attach an image. So if you're having a glitch take a screenshot and attach it and send the email. They are very good at getting back to you guys, right? And they'll help fix the stuff. And so there's a tremendous amount of resources on the back end, guys. You just have to know where to go out and fix it. So what I want to tell you guys is be resourceful, right? Don't wait for Enrique to try to solve your problem at the next Tuesday meeting and your problem's on Thursday, right? By that time, you could have already got the answer, maybe helped someone next to you and already move forward with the process, right? Yeah. And if you find out a cool feature, if you're like, hey guys, like I noticed this cool thing, that's when you want to bring that to the table as well and contribute to the team so that we can all continue to grow. Is that fair, guys? Awesome. Awesome. Let me, we're all about fairness here. All right, guys, that's all we got. Let me know if you need anything. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Saturday, picture day, guys. What time is picture day? 10 a.m., 10 o'clock, 10 to 2. Show up early, guys. We'll have coffee. Don't worry, we'll have treats for you. All right.
Is it
Yeah.
one quick question? Is it only a family photo day? Is it
No,
we can show up alone?
family, friends.
Picture with you and me.
Hey, whoever's here on the team, we're gonna take some pictures together too, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
family, friends, clients, bring your dog. It's just photo day, basically, right?
Yeah.
We got DJ.
We'll have some music, we'll have some light refreshments. It'll be a good time, guys. We'll be able to hang out and have a good time as well.
Cool.
All
Thanks.
right. So thank you guys. We'll see you Saturday.
What's the RSVP count?
RSVP count. Let me stop recording real quick.